Okay, first things first, before you fucking say it, that I am wearing the same clothes that I was wearing when I filmed my apology video, which I filmed weeks ago, you should know. I'm just an outfit repeater, and I am not filming 2 videos on the same day in the same clothes, not changing anything about it. We're here today to talk about something that I was supposed to talk about back in January of this year, and that is my top 10 books of 2022. Something happened, and a lot of months went by, but I'm here, and I'm trying to play a little bit of catch up because I read some great books. According to my story graph, where I track my book reading, I read 81 books in the year of 2022. Before you get too impressed by that, you should know that I was reading through a manga series, and I was also reading a lot of Star Wars books, which included some Star Wars comic books, because for some reason I just got into this state where I was just like, I'm reading dumb books this year. Dumb Star Wars novels. Not even the legend stuff. I was reading canon novels by Disney, and I was having the time of my life. I was having the time of my life with Disney Star Wars novels because I like the sequels, okay, and I won't be taking hate for that. Thank you very much. Rise of Skywalker is in my top 3 best Star Wars films of all time. At least I think it is. 10th best book I read, Who Rules the World by Noam Chomsky. Now, here's the thing about this book. What it did for me was it was really a stepping stone to get me into more revolutionary writings, like reading books by actual socialists and communists and things like that. So I don't really view Noam Chomsky as a revolutionary, especially after recent things have come to light about him being friends with Jeffrey Epstein. What is that about? To be fair, I think the head of the CIA was also friends with Jeffrey Epstein, so all I'm trying to say is Noam Chomsky's actually a little bit cringe, but at the time that I read that book, Who Rules the World, it did a lot for opening my eyes to some of the atrocities that we've committed in Latin America, South America, stuff that I had never been taught in schools or anything like that. And so it was just very eye-opening, and it really helped catapult me into this world of revolutionary literature, which that'll be in the 2023 list. Get ready for that. It's gonna be fun. 9th place is a book, There by Tommy Orange. Very good book. Loved it. I don't know what to tell you. You should read it. 8th place is the collected stories of Stefan Zweig. His collected stories. They are very collected. In, I think, 7th place we're at now, The Color Purple by Alice Walker. That book has been on my list of books to read for so long, and I finally did it. Great book. Very good stuff. After that, in 5th place, I think, I can't count. Empty the Pews, a collection of essays compiled and edited by Chrissy Stroop and Lauren O'Neill. It's essays by people who have left the church, which at that point in my life, back in 2022, that's what I was contemplating doing. And so this book was very helpful for me because it gave me stories that I could relate to, where I was like, oh my gosh, all these people have gone through all these things that sound so familiar to me. It was just incredibly helpful in my journey towards leaving the church and leaving the faith. 7, 6. Empty the Pews was number 6. Now we're at number 5, and number 5 is The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. The God Delusion was very good because it was also a key book in helping me transition from Christian to atheist, which is a pretty big transition. You may have seen my Guy Penrod video and you thought, who's this asshole Christian recommending me Guy Penrod? And to that I say, hey, shut up. Guy Penrod is still the greatest singer ever. I didn't lose my good taste just because I lost my faith. I'll still put on a Guy Penrod album to hear his freaking caramel voice. Are you kidding me? Salted caramel vocals? I'm not gonna just give up on that just because I gave up on, the thing that I was indoctrinated to believe since birth. Christianity may not last forever, but Guy Penrod does. Oh gosh. So yeah, I think you may have seen that coming because I made that whole video where I was like, is God good? And I came to the conclusion finally that no. It took a lot of work, a lot of stress, a lot of freaking out. I am still consistently freaking out about the fact that everything that I thought I believed my whole life is not what it once was, but I'm still living. My current plan is to just maybe live forever and see how that works for me. Probably not too well. What was I saying? Oh yeah, you probably saw the atheism train was already kind of leaving the station. And this is me having got there now. That's right, I'm atheist Brannon now. I cuss, I consume a weed gummy every now and then. What else do I do that's cool? I don't know, I read books. Just finished watching The Good Place. That sent me on a whole other spiral of like what the afterlife could be. Great show though. God Delusion is very good. Okay, highly recommend. Up here in the recommend. Literally 5th in the recommend. Anyways, number 4 is The Greatest Show on Earth, also by Richard Dawkins. This was my first book about evolution that I'd ever read. 27 years old, finally learning what evolution is, how it works. Evolution is amazing. I'm obsessed with this stuff. I wish I was a scientist. I wish I was studying evolution. I wish I'd been studying evolution my whole life, but I wasn't, and that's fine, okay? The point is, evolution is so cool. But I also need to make a separate point now about Richard Dawkins, because excuse me, I just spat on my computer. Richard Dawkins has written 2 really impressive books here. But at the time that I was reading them, I looked him up on Twitter because I was like, maybe I should follow this guy and get like his thoughts. And turns out he's super lame IRL. Like his whole Twitter feed just seemed to be him being like, everything's so politically correct these days. I don't understand it. Why isn't everything just staying the same? As if like his whole like book thing isn't about like evolution and the fact that we are always evolving as living organisms and as a society, and pretty much the only constant in life is change. And he's over here like, why is everybody getting so politically correct? Why do people care about trans people? That's crazy. They're a very small minority, so really they just shouldn't matter at all. That's crazy. What are you talking about, Richard Dawkins? Respectfully, get good. What are you on right now? Complaining about a social society caring about people within that society and trying to be respectful, and you're like, OMG, the world is turning to PC nonsense? I don't get that. But look, it is what it is, right? How do I end that in a positive note? Do I end that in a positive note? Look, just like, if you're interested in learning about evolution, you could check out Greatest Show on Earth by Richard Dawkins, and it will really potentially blow your mind like it blew my mind. But also just keep in mind that Richard Dawkins is an old white fart. And I don't care. I don't care too much about his great deep concerns about like what the world is coming to. You know what I mean? Because like the future doesn't belong to him. And things are gonna just keep evolving. And like he knows that because he's the one who explained it to me. But now he can't handle it anymore? Okay, sir. Take the fattest nap and come back feeling well rested and maybe just like try to appreciate the humanity around you. I don't know. Is that too much to ask? You old fart? Heyo, it's future Brandon coming at you from the car. Just because I was just thinking, maybe I should turn my AC off. It's quieter now, but it's gonna get hot in here and I'm gonna die. Anyways, I was just thinking about the Richard Dawkins rant in my car today. And I was thinking about the fact that, you know, evolution, the way that it works is it's random mutation, but the mutations that happen to be useful are more likely to get passed on because they're useful, yada, yada, yada. And then I was thinking about how society evolves, and I don't know if society necessarily evolves through mutation, but we can observe society evolving and changing, right? Like the world moved past feudalism. A lot of the world moved past slavery. There still is slavery in the US, in our prison system, and we justify it by saying, oh, they're hardened criminals. We dehumanize the people in prison that way so that we can justify using them as slaves, which is really messed up. A lot of the people in prison just need, like, I don't know, rehab, rehabilitation, mental health help, medical health help, you know, those types of things. But no, we just call them criminals and then we can make them work for free. America, capitalism. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Capitalism is something that I hope that we can evolve beyond eventually, and that we can have a society that is less based on greed and more based on empathy. And I feel like a lot of these politically correct changes that are happening are very empathy based and empathy focused, and that's what makes them so great, in my opinion. It's the fact that we are acknowledging the existence of these minorities and we're becoming more equity focused and things like that. That to me is great. And so, I don't know. I feel like maybe if you've been in the majority all your life and now you're being asked to consider the minority and you're just being like, oh, this is politically correct bullshit, that you should be uncomfortable right now. You deserve to be uncomfortable because you have made a lot of people very uncomfortable historically, and we're trying to change that now, right? Society is evolving. Society is changing. Welcome it. Embrace the change. What else are you gonna do? I think that a lot of conservatism is about trying to like retain what we once had, and all that you're gonna be accomplishing is maybe slowing down the change at the cost of other people being hurt by it, but you're never gonna be able to stop it because because your kids are growing up in a different world than you grew up in already. So even if you raise your children to be good conservatives like you, they're still going to be rooting for the good old days that were different from your good old days, and it's going to keep on consistently happening, and we will continue to change and evolve. That's my perspective on that. And that's where I feel like complaining about politically correctness or about trans people is all just ridiculous, because we're talking about, minority groups being seen, being acknowledged as human beings, and to me, that's huge. I love that. So that's where I'm kind of in my screw Richard Dawkins era, because we're good. We got evolution. We know it's evolving. Ooh. My wife's coming out of the gym. I should go say hi. In number 3, Journey to the West, Volume 1, translated and edited by Anthony C. Yu. There are 4 volumes in this total. I have the other 3. I need to read them, and I will someday. Not today, because I'm busy, but Journey to the West is amazing. That's a book where I was expecting it to be like super stuffy, boring, and it ended up being a lot more like Don Quixote, where I was like, oh my gosh, this is such an insane, super fun ride that I'm being taken on right now. In the number 2 spot is the most random book of all time. It is Willful Creatures by Amy Bender. She wrote a bundle of short stories, collected them in a book called Willful Creatures, and they are the most insane, deranged, beautiful short stories I've ever read in my entire life whole. Y'all need to check out Willful Creatures by Amy Bender, because that's the number 2 spot in the universe for the year 2022 of books that I read. Book number 1, best book of the year for me, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Braiding Sweetgrass is just a bundle of so many different things. It's like you have Native American history, you have short stories and essays, you have so much interesting facts about biology and plants and how important conserving and protecting nature is, and just these different ideas on what humanity's role should be in terms of what our place is in this planet. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Such a good book. Such an incredible, incredible book that I put it at number 1, the best book that I read in 2022, by far. Mad recommend it. I'm recommending that so hard to you right now. You need to read it, okay? Good deal. I think we just made a pact there where you agreed that you're gonna read it, and so now you have to. You idiot. Look at you. You gotta read a book now. You wanna talk about the books that I didn't like in the year 2022? Oh my gosh. Do not try to read Dragon Ball, the manga series. I fucked up majorly with that. I bought the box set of all 16 of the books, and I sat down to read those things, and it is just a treasure trove of the worst writing you're ever gonna find. It is like so much sexism as jokes, sexual assault as jokes, like, I don't know, like peeping toms, groping, smacking body parts, characters being like suspiciously underage with all this stuff happening to them, and you're just like, ugh. And for some reason, back then that year, I was in my completionist phase where I was like, I started this, I gotta power through this, I gotta get through this for some reason because I bought this box set, and it's the only thing that makes sense is that I read it the whole way through, and I did. And I rated practically every book 1 star on my Goodreads and my Storygraph because it was such a hot mess. And I anti-recommend Dragon Ball to everybody. I'm just really grossed out by that. Holy buckets. Ugh. Fortunately, this year I have completely shifted my entire mentality when it comes to reading or watching shows or movies or pretty much anything, which is that if I'm not enjoying myself, I'm going to reclaim my time. I'm going to stop reading the book or watching the show or the movie, and I'm going to do something that I enjoy, because a big part of becoming an atheist is kind of realizing that you don't have an eternity in an afterlife after this. And so whatever you're gonna do, you kind of got to do it now. And it's kind of got to be worthwhile for now, because this is the only guaranteed existence we have. And that's also maybe what's driven me more towards things like socialism and communism, is because I'm like, what the hell are we doing under capitalism? There is poverty, there is homelessness, people can't get access to medical care, people are dying in the streets, and all that we care about is profit over people. It's a system based on greed, and I just don't vibe with that at all, frankly. If I can be as frank as possibly frankness can be, You know, this is part of life. Growing, changing, evolving. You hear that, Richard Dawkins? I don't know why I have such a grudge against him. I looked him up on Twitter one day and was just like, okay, he kind of sucks. Same thing with Noam Chomsky. You read a book by him, you think, wow, that was great. That really changed my perspective on a lot of things. It opened my eyes to a lot of horrors and atrocities committed by the US that I didn't know happened. But also, why are you defending Jeffrey Epstein right now? That seems pretty sus, Fwankwy. Great. I'm ending the video right here.